Do you want to learn these 3 sick overlays? In today's video, I'll show you how to do all 3 from scratch, and after that, my personal method, which is much quicker. So let's get straight to it. For the Damaged VHS look, we're going to be using this clip right here. First thing you're going to do is Ctrl-Alt-Y to add an adjustment layer, and then here's the effects we're going to start with. First off, you're just going to add in a simple black and white. Then next, to give it a bit less quality in that VHS look, we're going to use unsharp mask. Now, playing around with these settings, I'm not going to suggest you anything specific, it's what you want. In my case, you can copy these values here if you want. Next thing you're going to add in is wave warp, just like that. Now, there's a few different ways to go about this. In my case, I'm going to be using smooth noise. You see, I like the damage, but I don't want anything to look over the top. So these are the values I've gone with in the end. Feel free to copy them if you want. But we're making good progress. It's looking a lot better than it already did before, as you can see. But we're still on the move, there's a lot more to do. Next effect you're going to add in is noise, and then set the amount of noise to, again, whatever you feel like. In my case, I'm going to use a solid 25. And one thing I've also done, because it's a black and white kind of effect we're going for, I have disabled use color noise. So yeah, we're moving in the right direction now. Next thing I'm going to add in is a brightness and contrast. My final values is 37 and 62. Only a few more left now. Next effect I'm going to add in is Venetian blinds. Make sure to set the direction to 90 degrees and then just go off whatever you feel is best. If you want it to be quite harder, then you would do less feather. But in my case, I want it to be a nice softish kind of look. Alright, cool. These are my final settings. 19%, 90 degrees, 20 and 13. Feel free to copy if you like, but your clip may be different to mine. Last thing I'm going to add in is a CC lens over the top of it. Yes, it looks mad, but trust me, it will look better. First thing I'm going to do is up the size just so it covers the screen once again. And you can kind of see how it's warping outwards like this. I like that effect, but I want it to be a bit less of that. So I'm going to just drop down the convergence just until I'm happy with how it looks. If you do too much underneath on the convergence, you'll see it goes inwards just like this. But in my case, I want it to go outwards. So I'm just going to keep raising this back up until I'm happy. One more effect I'm going to add as well is posterized time. Where is it? Just there. And then just set it to like, I don't know, 18. And yeah, man, that's number 1. Pretty easy if you ask me. But if you want to avoid all the hassle of that, then just disable that layer, then go on to Ctrl-Alt-Y to make a new adjustment layer, then head over to the Trap Essentials Foundations I've got right here. Then simply drag in the Damaged VHS look, and you can see we've got, if not a similar, but I think even better look than the previous one. But yeah, that's the final look of the Damaged VHS. Now onto the next one. Now onto the night vision scope effect, easily one of my favorites to do all the time. This is the clip we're going to be using for it. It's actually a similar process. Just press Ctrl-Alt-Y for a new adjustment layer. One thing I will say is I wouldn't advise doing all the effects on the actual layer itself because it's much harder to kind of get the look you're going for, and if you want to copy it somewhere else, it may look different. So that's why I say if you're ever using overlays, use adjustment layers. Now back onto it. So first thing you're going to add in is a tritone, just like this. It looks pretty brown right now, but let's fix that straight away. Go onto the mid-tone section, drag it to a nice green, and simply put it somewhere in the middle. We don't want it too bright, we want it somewhere in the middle like this. Next thing you're going to add in is a hue and saturation. Now the reason I'm adding this in, because whenever you see on night vision scopes, whether it be in real footage or on like Call of Duty or somewhere, it's never fully green like this. So that's why we're going to go onto the master saturation and drop it down until you find something similar to what you've seen in, for example, Call of Duty or something, I don't know. So I changed it up slightly. I put the blend with original to 14%, and this is my exact color code I decided to go with if you want to copy it. Then I put the master saturation down to -45, but it's going to look better, trust me. Now we're also going to add in a unsharp mask, because you see in all this night vision footage, whether it be in like a game or even like the real life looking ones, it's never perfect quality, right? So we want to kind of achieve a similar look to that as much as we can at least. And that's why we add in the unsharp mask to give it a bit more of like a concentrated look to it, rather than being polished like that, if you see what I mean. It's made all the shadows slightly darker as well, but it's looking good. So now I'm going to add in S_glow. This is sapphire if you use it. And it's looking pretty cool already, but then I'm going to go onto the color and slap that on a very nice green. Then I'm going to adjust the threshold to my liking. I'd prefer mine to be more highlight-ish, so I'm going to keep it on the higher end. It's looking good. It's looking good, but I'm also going to raise that brightness back up again now because I can't really see what's going on as much. So we're getting closer and closer to the final result, but even just looking like that, it looks sick. Next thing I'm going to add in is CC lens. We're not going to be using Venetian blinds on this one. Then a similar process, but in this time I'm not going to be working on the convergence. I'm just going to be giving this a much more warped look, almost like a night vision scope. You know what I mean? But I want mine to be pretty subtle, so let's say 306 works for me. As you can see, just gives it a nice little warp. And for that scope effect, there's one more thing I'm going to add, and that is CC Vig Net. I don't know why my box has appeared over there, but still I'm going to up the amount just like this until we kind of see the edges blurred in a bit more. Again, this is going to be different for your clip, but if you want that scopish kind of look, I'd say do the same thing. If you want it to be a bit more on the normal side, the best way to do that is go back up to the tritone and blend it as much as you want. So you can go all the way from 100 having no night vision all the way down to like pure night vision. But with me, I'm going to stick with a nice value of, let's say, 20, but this is your night vision controller essentially, because we put that all the way at the top. To me, that's pretty sick. It's got that low res and the warp scope feel to it, so I'm pretty happy with that. But I'm going to show you a different way as well. So if we disable that for a second, if you want to avoid doing that every single time, you can go back over to the Trap Essentials Foundations, and I've already made you a night vision scope ready to go in one click. Now to me, this looks even better. It's got that nice grunge to it. It's got the same night vision feel, the highlight glows and the warp, all within pretty much one click. But yeah, you've also got the version I showed you earlier. Alright, the last one, which is that Stretched CRT Look. It's actually super easy. It's easier than the other ones, but it does require an extra plugin, and that is Signal. So the first thing you're going to add in is Signal, like I'm saying. And these are my final settings for the Signal plugin. But there is one thing as well. I don't really like that tape error they've got at the bottom. So I'm simply just going to untick that when it's under Luma modulation, if I've said that right. And you can see it's already forming quite well just off that Signal, but there's a few more things I'm going to add to it. I'm going to add in, to start with, Venetian blinds, same as number 1. These are my final values. 8%, 90 degrees, 24 and 7. The next effect is going to be Sapphire Glow. If you don't have Sapphire, you can use the standard After Effects Glow and just adjust the threshold. Same way you'd adjust this threshold, you can do the same with a normal glow, but Sapphire is better in my opinion. But if you don't have it, for this effect, it's not necessary. You can just do it with the normal glow. In this scene, Central C is like Tracksuit, the Cortez one I think it is. It's got a nice, if I turn off the adjustment layer for a second, it's got that nice pinkish look to it. So I'm going to go into the color, press the pick whip tool, I don't even know what it is, but color picker maybe, and then drop it on like the darker part, just like that. You can see we've got a nice little purple here. I'm going to bring it up slightly just so we can recognize a bit more color. Then I'm going to re-enable the adjustment layer, and you can already see it's made a bit of a difference. And this is where it becomes a bit techie with the standard After Effects glow, because it doesn't have the same kind of nice edge glow. It's a bit harder to get, but you can still get by with it. But to me, I am liking the look of, let's say, 0.41. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm also going to put the brightness to like a 6.25. And now you can see it's got that nice emitting purple glow to it, same as the tracksuit, or pink, whatever it is. Now to give it a more stretched look, I'm going to go onto the CC lens once more time. Then I'm going to up the size. I'm not really messing about with convergence again. I'm just going to keep messing around with size until it has like a nice outwards curved look to it. And I'd recommend you do the same as me and put it underneath the signal, because you can see the signal's wrapping around with it as well, which I think gives it a really cool effect. Now all of that together, it's only like 4 effects. It's pretty simple, but there's one more thing I want to touch on. Alright, cool. Now you've seen how all these overlays work, both from scratch and my personal one-click method. So if you don't want to rebuild and tweak them every single time, I've just dropped the Trap Essentials Foundation pack. It's got the same overlays we spoke about in the video, plus some extra effects, overlays, and transitions. Links in the description, go check it out. Thank you as always for supporting the channel, and I'll see you lot next time.